to non-white people. And they had the participants sign contracts, may or may not be true. You can look it up for yourself. Sign contracts that said, oh, for the next like 50 years or whatever, they will never tell anybody. Well, in the old day, that they were being hired to play a part. That's what the contract said. You're not going to tell anybody that you're being hired to play a part, that we are providing the lumber and the gasoline, the kerosene and the matches, and we're going to even build these little things for you that you'll then set on fire, because this is a reality program, and it perfectly supports and bolsters the anti-white fiction, the anti-white narrative that we force you to live by. And so you're going to sign this agreement here, and it says under penalty of severe lawsuits and etc., you are not going to tell a soul. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? In the past, before we had the internet, they used to be able to get away with that all the time. They used to have these talk shows where they would drag these lowlifes, these many of them defective people, very low IQ, and they would say, sign this contract, and you're not going to tell anybody. And of course, these idiots couldn't help but tell people, but no one knew. Only the people in the projects where they lived. And then no one would even believe after that. But what happened a couple years ago? Well, now we have the internet. So when these drunk freak losers who signed on said, yes, I'll sign this contract. Yes, pay me whatever. I'll pretend to be a member of this whatever ghostly group from your anti-white narrative, and I'll set the fire to the things and say XYZ for you. And I won't tell a soul. They then immediately got on the internet. They then immediately started tweeting and telling everybody they knew. Don't tell anybody. And of course it was leaked. Of course. And I did a video about who was in charge of this particular company. And of course, it's not on YouTube anymore. But I don't think. But you can go find it, the video, on one of my other platforms. And you can see who was in charge and what other things that he had been producing when this took place. So they can't quite get away with that anymore. The Hoosier Antifa Facebook page has a picture. Now, this was the group that I was protesting and or involved. Has a Facebook page has a hand gripping a weapon, and they refer to it as a switchblade. We'll refer to it as a machete. And the words "every day is a day of violence." We're going to say violence. They choose the word vengeance because they're living by their anti-white narrative. But there's no vengeance to be had here, you freaks, you anti-white losers. And the reason they're losers is because they're anti-white, not because they can't figure out what sex they are. That is a problem, not they're freaks because they're anti-whites. Every day is a day of violence, they say, for people like Sarah and her children. So this woman, Gossick, writes further. So Sarah Dye, she says, is punished for thought crimes. They doused her car with fake blood and demanded that she be ejected from the farmer's market. These are for Sarah's opinions. And this writer says that she's a Catholic and Sarah is a pagan. And this woman upholds her Catholic viewpoints, and Sarah is upholding her pagan viewpoints, and both should be allowed to do this. Well, guess what, Goshik? It's coming for you too. You better go white positive while you have time, because I can guarantee you, when things really start to hit the fan, and you white anti-whites come begging at the last minute, there is likely not to be enough room for you. So sooner than later is better. She says that Sarah is like me, has a right to her own private thoughts, free speech, and assembly. She has a right to make a living and a profit from her labors. She says, this writer Goshik writes, that my relatives in the Soviet Union were turned into non-persons, their right to work taken away by, and that is that the totalitarian way, she writes. The B-Town Antifa Facebook page offers a clue to the origins of the appeal of contemporary white well-being. Those serving white well-being, she, of course, Goshik, still not really extracting herself from this anti-white hatred, continuing to use these misplaced slurs, offers clues to the origins of the contemporary of contemporary white well-being. The page features a flyer. Now, this is important because in this article, she's saying that these groups that we heroes in the anti-white narrative used to strike down, they don't really exist anymore. You know, they do in our movies, and they do, but these people have a very different. These people in these farmers market, and these people passing out, distributing these leaflets, they have a very different motivation. In fact, look at this leaflet, what it's talking about. The page, she says, features a flyer that its members found in public places in Bloomington. The flyer's headline, quote, "No white guilt." The flyer features an image of a white baby with the words sexist and racist written on its body, burned, seared into its body. The flyer alleges that, quote, "People who push white guilt propaganda on white children are child abusers who hate white people and seek their demise. We wish no ill will on any race. We seek only white well-being." Ladies and gentlemen, do I even have to say, for those of you who are more accomplished, more advanced, you will immediately have the epiphany, my God, wait till I read next. Wait until what I read next. In response to this flyer, one poster on the B-Town Antifa Facebook page, one of the participants posted on their page, "I'm white and Irish. Most of my family came here in between World War I and II, well after slavery ended. Should I still be ashamed for what white people did here before I was born or my bloodline was even in this country?" It is tearing their community apart. No white guilt. Service to white well-being is causing infighting in the ranks of the anti-whites. It is causing white anti-whites to leave anti-whiteism in increasing numbers. It is the thing that opens the door to these folks. They would not go from being anti-white to what they see as the antagonist in the anti-white narrative. But they will come to a movement of love, a movement of redemption, a movement that wants nothing more than to put an end to the victimization of our people and our civilization. They are coming to us in increasing numbers. They are fighting amongst themselves. It is very easy to take down the monster, to align with each other against the monster in their narrative. It is something completely different to try to get unanimity and to galvanize people to attack others who are merely trying to stop the victimization of their people. You will see them come apart at the hem. It is happening already, and it will increasingly happen. If we were not in place spreading service to white well-being, if we were not in place serving going free and bringing going free to the masses, if we were not doing this, all of these white people who need to leave anti-whiteism, who want to get away, would not have a community to go to. They would see, in fact, continue to see, in fact, that any deviation, no matter how many pangs of conscience they had, was going to lead to their own swift demise, because heretics in anti-whiteism are dealt with rapidly. They are not tolerated. They would stay with anti-whiteism rather than become a Nazi. But when they can serve white well-being, they're leaving. They're taking that hand of redemption. They're saying that group has gone off the rails. They want nothing more to do with them. And I promise you this, the day will come when we see the anti-white freaks show up someplace to protest or do damage. And when they realize that it is folks who are serving white well-being, when it is folks who are going free, we will see members of their group leave the scene. We will see them walk away and want nothing more to do with what they had intended to inflict on us. No, of course not. Not every single anti-white is going to be sane or mature enough or healthy enough or courageous enough to turn away from the sickness that is anti-whiteism, from the bloodlust that courses through their most sickest members in those communities. Of course not. We don't need that to happen. We need to neutralize as many of them as we can by making them doubt their positions, by making them doubt how righteous and good they are by doing what they do. And for as many as we can, we need to offer a way out, an alternative, a true rebellion against the man, which happens to be the anti-white man. That is who we are to these people. This author used to be a hardcore anti-white. She's now become extremely uncertain. She sees the victory of anti-whiteism in sight, and she sees white erasure in sight. She is witnessing the increasing sickness and celebration of the anti-whites when they inflict injury on our people. So what do we have here? We have a few more notes on this. She talks also about an Asian woman who is anti-white. Abby Ang protested Schooner Creek. Ang's Facebook page has Christophobic material. Ang is a proud member of Asian Pacific Women's Forum. Quote, "My soul was replenished." She writes that Dai would be pilloried if she said her, quote, soul was replenished by meeting with a white women's forum. It is hypocrisy and selective outrage. They are falling apart. You wanted a white pill, ladies and gentlemen. You wanted some positivity. It's more than just a white pill. It's more than just something positive, because it is the actual work that we are doing that is causing this. They can fall apart. The times are going to continue to get worse, as I said. But these people would not be leaving the ranks of these monsters. They're terrified of it. They would not be leaving unless it were for us. This is both a salute to you, a pat on your back, and a promise of a great treasure to come. As they grow weaker, even in their victory, even in this runaway train that is rapidly chugging away to its fiery conclusion, even as all of that happens, their members are leaping off of that train. It gets weaker by the day as their damage grows greater and we grow stronger.